Today, we are going to learn how one Cris Murungaru, or if you want to call him in full, he's called Christopher Ndarathi Murungaru, made billions at a stroke of the pen. Some people say work hard, but nowadays they say work smarter. And this is how he made it. After saying how he made it, I will come to his background. As you may have noticed, that during Jomo Kenyatta's time, the most powerful minister was in his office called Mbio Koinange, Peter Mbio Koinange. During Moi's time, the most powerful minister came from his tribe also, called Nicholas Biwott. During Kibaki's time, the most powerful minister came from his tribe, called Christopher Ndarathi Murungaru. Now this is what he did, a very clever thing. Now people say that highlighting criminal activities or anything. No, me, I'm just a storyteller. Mambo ya whether it is good or bad, please, it is for you to judge. Mine is, as people say, I'm a historical teacher. Mine is only to give a historical fact. Now, when Cris Murungaru was the Minister of State in the Office of the President, he walked around and saw that all government vehicles, especially in the Office of the President, were vehicles from Land Rover. Land Rover is a British company. He went to Toyota East Africa. He went to Toyota East Africa and asked the price of a Land Cruiser. He discovered that a brand new Land Rover cost the same price as 2 brand new Land Cruisers. Then he said that from now henceforth, no pickups from Land Rovers will be bought for the Office of the President. It will only be Land Cruisers. Now, who are the people in the Office of the President? Provincial administration, nowadays called Ngao. The Kenya Police. By then, Kenya Police and administration police were different. The immigration, the whatever. So imagine, and you know, every company, every business has money for sales and marketing. So alionwa kando. Na alipoonwa kando, we don't know what it was. He ended up having one of the best AI laboratories in East and Central Africa. See, just deciding that from now henceforth, we are not going to use Land Rovers, we are going to use Land Cruisers. And that is why eventually all government departments are now using Land Cruisers. British is a very close friend of the USA. Then the USA started demanding that Cris Murungaru has suddenly become super rich, and they wanted him to disclose his source of income. Otherwise, he's blacklisted from visiting the USA. But he quoted an American constitution which says that you cannot self-implicate yourself, meaning you cannot give evidence that is going to implicate you. It is upon the other side to give evidence that will implicate you. Now you coming up with the evidence that will implicate you and you know, this is a story where you talk, I don't know, let me talk about a magistrate. When you are in a trial, it is the magistrate who is on trial, not the accused and not the complainant. Because the accused knows what happened and the complainant knows what happened because they were there. But the magistrate was not there. So it is up to the magistrate now to come up with a formula to say that this is how it is. So Americans knew how Murungaru had gotten the billions. And Murungaru knew how he gotten the billions. But they were turning and saying, if you don't disclose how you got it, you cannot go to the USA. He said, to hell with the USA. Now his background. Cris Murungaru is a doctor, a veterinary pharmacist. And during his time, he was actively politically, but he had no interest of joining politics. He was the right-hand man of James Munene, the then MP for Kieni. Then James Munene died suddenly, and when he died suddenly, they had to look for a good person near him. That is how he entered politics. And he entered politics in 1997, if I'm not wrong. He used to lead a life just like me and you. Used to stay near Valley Arcade, and one time it was even shown in the papers that his things were going to be confiscated because of rent arrears. But nowadays, I think as he's seated, he can pay rent for the next 10 years without feeling it. When the president came, when Mwai Kibaki became the president, as was usual then, the Minister of State in the office of the president usually came from the president's background. Now from Kieni to Odhaya, both are in Nyeri. So that is how he ended up in the Ministry of State in the office of the president. Now you see he's a doctor and being placed in a place where the administrators, whatever, there's a time he even missed a bit. That is Ministry of State in the office of the president needs an administrator or anybody who has worked in the disciplined forces. For you, that is Christopher Darathi Murungaru.